So we back, podcast slash YouTube video number 1 on this Real Talk with Deondre Dale. I got my friend Mike. I've been friends with him since we moved out to Pomona when I was like 6, 7 years old. You know what I'm saying? Went to elementary, middle school, went to high school together. Then he dipped my junior and senior year to play golf, you know what I'm saying, to further his golf career, get a scholarship. And so throughout that until now we're 24, so fast forward 6 years from college, he graduated from Cal State Fullerton, joined the Army after he graduated. Now he's getting his MBA? NPA at Fullerton as well. So we're just gonna go through his backdrop of his story. We're gonna talk about people that might want to go to the Army before college or after college, what's best for you, what's best for your family. We're going to talk about what made him choose to go after college, you know what I'm saying, athletics while in college and all that type of deal. So we're just going to get right into it, man. What made you want to go to Army after college versus before?
So my scenario is a little bit different. Like you mentioned before, I played golf in college throughout my whole life. Mm-hmm. And then so when you work so hard in a sport, right, and you try to get to college, obviously you're thinking as a kid, like, I'm going to go pro. And that's the only thing you're really thinking about. Yeah. And then, once I was playing in college, dealing with, college life, I realized that maybe professional golf isn't the route that I think I want to go. Mm-hmm. So I was kind of lost for a little bit. And then towards like my junior, senior year, I kind of was like thinking like, one of the routes that I could go is, I can go into law enforcement, and then my brother, was in the Marine Corps for a little bit while. So I had all these kind of routes I wanted to go. So I figured, it's kind of funny too. So I initially tried out for Sheriff's Department, LA Sheriff's. It wasn't until I had a PT test because I think it was like the initial entrance or whatever. You take a PT test. Well, I failed it. I failed the PT test. I was pretty big though at that time. I was like 220. I was like the heaviest I've ever been. Yeah. So I was kind of discouraged after I failed because like, dang, it's gonna be a journey losing this weight and all that stuff.
Wait, my bad. I just want to say, so you see how he changed his route. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with realizing where you are and where you want to be and what's reasonable for you, like the goals for you to attain. You know what I'm saying? He said he thought about pro. He said, I'm kind of lost. That's a normal feeling, like, for anybody. Like, you don't just get born. You're born 5 years old. This is what I'm going to do. Like, that's not, for most people, for 95% of people, like, they don't grow up knowing what they're going to do. Most people that do, either their parents probably told them what to do, or they just are just blessed. You know what I'm saying? But just go ahead.
Yeah, so I mean, you kind of hit the nail on the head there. So yeah, it wasn't until I took that PT test and I failed it, and it was literally the day after, I was like, you know what? I told my mom, I was like, I'm joining the Army. And she was like, you just failed a PT test for, law enforcement. What makes you think you can join the military? So I was like, it was more or less, I wanted to prove to myself that I can do it. It's always been something ever since a little kid that I kind of wanted to do. Always looked up to my older brother.
It's a bold move.
Right, so I was like, you know what, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to go all in. But I wanted to do it the right way. And I guess my idea of the right way was, I was already going to get my college degree, right? Mm-hmm. So I wasn't just going to enlist and then stop schooling. I was just so close towards the end anyways. So what I did was, at Cal State Fullerton, there's like a big wall. It says like CSEF Titan Battalion. And I was like, what is that? And I see like a little Army star next to it. So I figured, I was like, let me do some research. It ends up that there's an ROTC battalion there. No. So it's like ROTC stands for Reserve Officer Training Corps. Essentially, it's a program that trains you to be an officer in the Army. So I literally walked into the office. I was like, hey, I'm about to graduate my degree. Thinking about applying to grad school. I want to join the Army. I want to be an officer. Can you help me? So they actually did their due diligence and time. I put my trust into them, because there's that stigma like, hey, recruiters will lie to you and they won't have your best interest in mind. But in that case, it wasn't like that at all. It was a good experience. If you ask me why I joined the military, at the end of the day, what got me through basic training in AIT was that I realized that I found my purpose. I really enjoy it, man. It takes a little bit different mindset being in the cold.
Yeah. So how was that? So you living in LA, weather is never an issue. Leaving your house, like never any snow, never any. I mean, it might rain, but it's not like it's raining like Seattle rain. It's not like you snowed in, you gotta shovel shit off your car. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, how was transferring from LA, comfort of your home, you know what I'm saying? You don't have to worry about, it's cold here, to going to, you said St. Louis, right?
Yeah, Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. Yeah.
Missouri.
Yeah.
So how was that transition-wise?
It was a punch in the face, man. It was hard. It was difficult. Definitely different. I went into basic training knowing that it was going to be a different culture, different lifestyle. So I expected it to be difficult. But I honestly, if you ask anybody that went through Fort Leonard Wood during the winter time, they'll always say that the hardest thing was the weather. Because I mean, I think the coldest it got while we were out there was like -15. And it was...
Damn, was this in the woods?
Yeah, it was in the woods. One of our FTXs, our field training exercises. Yeah, we were out there for a few days. I mean, -15, it was like, eventually, they had to like tell us to go back in because it was too cold. So, you know, it's cold when the military's like, you need to stop training, you're going to get sick, it's not conducive to good training.
Yeah.
I think most of the time it averaged around like 20s and 30s, 40s. That was the warmest I think it ever got during the time I went. And a lot of it was snow, it was raining, windy.
So throughout that whole time, it's just like, well, for me, like when I went through hard ass stuff, like you just think, hey, well, nothing can get worse than this. Like nothing can get worse than getting up real early, getting up in the cold, like doing stuff I don't want to do, people yelling at me. So it's like transitioning back to your master's or school or whatever is like, well, this is hard, but it's not like, it's not like impossible. It's not like
it's definitely not impossible. It's not undoable. It's something that I think everybody can do. It's not something everybody should do, but it's something everybody can do if they really put their mind to it. Honestly, you're gonna be uncomfortable for a very long time. You're gonna be miserable. Cold-blooded and miserable is what drill sergeants used to always say. But honestly, what got me through, what made it fun, was the people, the friends I made. Because, some of
that camaraderie.
Yeah, that camaraderie and the jokes. And just like, you laugh at, it's weird. Like, you leave basic training in AIT or OSUT, in my case. OSUT stands for One Station Unit Training. You leave it, and then you start missing it. It's super weird. I mean, I was driving back with my parents in a rental car that they got back to the airport, and I was sitting there and I was kind of like, man, I'm gonna miss this. Like, miss hanging out with the guys and being in the barracks, getting yelled at. It's super weird. It's something that, like, even to this day, some people can't really wrap their minds around. Like, why would you want to be so miserable? But I think it's like,
when you do hard stuff, I just think when you do hard stuff with anybody, it's like, it's like different.
It was fun though, you got to shoot weapons and stuff and do a lot of cool stuff. You learn a lot about yourself, for sure.
Okay. So moving forward is like, so I said that we went from grade school to like our last year and a half of high school together. So he chose to leave to get a scholarship or to better his odds at getting a scholarship for golf. So what kept you or what made you feel comfortable making your own moves, like at an early age? Because in high school, especially high school, is like a lot of pressure to just fit in, blend in, be like everybody else, and like being like everybody else is accepted. But in life, is like you have to be different to be successful. Like there is no way you could be like 1,000 other people and make it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So what kept you comfortable making your own moves from then until now?
You know, I'll be honest with you. I don't think I was like ever comfortable or
confident.
sure. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it wasn't. I wasn't ever confident until I knew the decision worked. You know what I mean? Like for example, when we went through high school together, I mean, you know, you have your different cliques. You have people doing this and that, people playing basketball and football, and like golf at the time wasn't what it is today. I mean, at least for you know, the high school that we went to, just cause like there's just not. It wasn't a popular sport, should I say?
Mm-hmm.
So I knew that I was doing the right thing when, like I just enjoyed it. You know what I mean? Like nothing else mattered to me when I was playing golf. I didn't really care what people thought. I was just doing my own thing. I knew the path that I wanted to take, and I think a lot of it that kept me on path was just like my upbringing, my parents, my brothers. I mean, shoot, no one pushed me harder than my brothers. But I mean, as you can see, there's people that we went to high school with that didn't have that support system.
Yeah, that sucks, man.
Yeah, and I think a lot of them, you know, they did the right thing. They're doing well for themselves, and then also majority of them are kind of
coin flip.
Yeah. So honestly, it's that support system that made me feel confident that, you know, if I mess up, I make a mistake, at least I can bounce back from it, knowing that they're going to be there supporting me, which was. It's a good feeling to have. I think at a young age, especially when you're in high school, you kind of forget, you know? You kind of forget, like, oh, I'm all by myself. Mom and dad don't support me, this and that. But in reality, like, you're so young, you think you know everything. And then, like, you look 4 years later, and you're like...
Even then, you still don't know anything.
Exactly. Like, if I told myself, like, I don't know, 10 years ago that I'd be in the position that I was in, my 14-year-old self would be like, man, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. Like, I don't know who you are.
What is that?
Yeah, exactly. So.
Cause I couldn't even. I mean, I saw myself finishing college, but there was points, like in like my second year. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially my second year. Like after that, I knew I was good. But like my second year, when things got rough, it was like, damn, am I gonna make it through? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you had like those doubts. Like
yeah.
It's natural to have doubts, but like he was saying, like you have a support system. You might not think you have one, but even if it's just your mom, even if it's just your aunt, your uncle, if it's somebody that really believes in you, like just at bare minimum, do it for them. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, to this day, man, I still have doubts. You know what I mean?
No.
I mean, around this time is finals, right? And so.
How well am I gonna do?
Exactly, and like everything kind of relies on, at least for the military and the position that I'm in right now, it relies on my academics.
Mm-hmm.
And so. Basically, if I don't get the grades that I need, I won't be in the position I want to be. So there's the utmost importance of getting good grades. And sometimes I'm like, it's hard, you know, when you're up there like 3 a.m. in the morning writing a paper that you procrastinated on. You're like, dang, I should have wrote this a week ago, but here I am the day before.
Fuck it.
And you're like, but you learn from it, right? But that's one of those things that you learn from it, and you just grow, hopefully.
And it's hard, like you said, it's hard, man. Like.
Yeah.
Those times where like it's really, 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 really bad are the times that really make you grow the most if you learn from it. Mm-hmm. If you don't let it break you down, like, cause a lot of people go through hard stuff and they're done. Like you can't be done. Like, especially when you like in your late teens, early 20s, like you cannot be done that early and then wait till 50, 40 and figure it out. Like you need to talk to somebody. Like, you need to do whatever it takes to get back on track. It might take a minute, but don't just settle for just, it's hard, I'm done. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'll tell you the story. This was one time during OSA basic training. We were out in the field, and it was pretty cold that day. It was like one of our last field training exercises. And it was raining. It was like sideways rain, like that Forrest Gump rain, you know what I mean? It was terrible. It was like really cold, too. It wasn't cold enough to snow. But it was cold enough to where like you
uncomfortable.
You couldn't feel anything, you know. And so we were outside, and you know we were getting our food and stuff. And I found myself, you know, there wasn't any room anywhere. There wasn't really anywhere to go to eat, really, because you're just outside. I mean, you could go under a tree technically, but you're still wet. You know what I mean? So, and you all had to be like in the same within your platoons, right? And so I literally found myself there eating my food. My eggs, or whatever it was at the time, eggs, and it was like the basic eggs and bacon, I forget. I was eating it, and it was raining, and I was just eating it in the rain. And I thought about like, man, a few weeks ago I would have thought, or a few months ago, I would have thought this is like crazy. I'm eating my food in the rain, super cold, miserable. I mean, nothing's dry, dude. Like my boots are wet, my socks are wet, my hands are wet, but everything was wet. My eggs are wet. You know what I mean? But I was thinking like, wow, I haven't even complained yet. I was just like, wow, it's kind of fun because you look around, everyone else is miserable. You know what I mean? And then you still find that time where like you're making jokes. You know, and you're messing around with the dudes around you, and you look at them, you're like, they don't look miserable at all. But you put anybody else in a different mindset, they're gonna be like, what is this? Like, well, I want to do this. It's miserable. So some people aren't meant for it. I guess meant for the military, but you can definitely build that mindset if you really wanted to.
Yeah.
And as you know, you watch those Jocko Willink videos, you watch the David Goggins videos, Joe Rogan, stuff like that. All these inspirational characters.
Mindset, everybody.
Everything's a mindset, right? You gotta get comfortable being uncomfortable. Just, what they say.
So, what made you want to set a foundation? Because, I mean, not saying like everybody needs to set a foundation in their 20s. It's most advantageous to set a foundation in your 20s, but not everybody either is aware. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of like a big thing. Like a lot of people think that you're gonna be young forever, and that is like the biggest misconception you could have, because I could literally remember my very first day of high school. I can remember my very first day of college. I can remember my first day of, not first day, but I remember like a lot of like middle school memories. So it's like you don't have as much time as you may think. So that requires you to like really grind hard in the short term. Like every year it should be like a new goal or goals accomplished, you know what I'm saying? It shouldn't be like, I'm the same person here, I'm working at the same spot, I'm still in it, like, you need to be, even if it's slow as hell, you need to be making progress, you know what I'm saying? So, what made you want to set a foundation young, getting your education young, going to a military, you know what I'm saying, moving forward in your life, planning for the future, you know what I'm saying? What made you want to get that done early, or start?
So I was very fortunate growing up. I've had, like I mentioned before, I had a great support system. My parents were there for me, financially, and they taught me a lot of great lessons too. My brothers as well. But it got to a certain point where I realized they were doing a lot for me, and the only way that I could possibly repay them back is that if I become like more independent.
Yeah.
So I looked at myself when I was in college, and I realized I was going down a slippery slope, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was playing D1 golf, whatever, but at the same time, I wasn't performing at the level that I should have been, and I knew that. I mean, bro, I was like, as every college student, you're drinking every weekend, you're out partying, you're neglecting your studies, and I even did that as like a D1 athlete, technically, So I was like, you know what? I realized it wasn't until I failed my PT test for the sheriff's department that I was like, you know what? I really need to
self-reflect.
Exactly. I need to reevaluate where I'm at. And then don't get me wrong, I was super motivated to play golf and everything. And I think at that point, when I was young, I was like, okay, this is what mom and dad told me that I need to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I was following their guidance 100% of the way. And then when I failed that PT test, I was like, you know what am I going to do? So I really thought about it. I was like, you know what? I want to do something that I doubt that I can do, but I want to prove it to myself. And it ended up being something I really liked. And those foundations and principles just came after, just through time, really. Seeing the importance of, your parents always tell you, right? Like, hey, school is always important. Once you get the degree, no one can ever take it away from you. But it's also what you do with that degree too.
Exactly.
And you don't really understand the importance of these lessons, like when you get older. Once you realize, like now, right? Like COVID-19, like the pandemic. Even like now, the importance of being relevant and having stability in your life is like, it's crazy. It's so important. Like, and it's all about doing the little things, right? You wake up in the morning, and whether you choose to drink or not, or go out for a run, that'll be the difference between success.
Other habits.
Yeah, exactly. And that'll be the difference between success and failing.
I think people think it's one big thing that changes your life when it's like all the little things. Like
Yeah.
It's not like I don't like drinking, but I have to slow down a lot because you realize, hey, well, if I drink this much tonight, if I like working out in the morning, I'm about to be dehydrated in the morning. I'm not gonna be able to do what I need to do.
Yeah.
So it's not like one thing. It's like a lot of little things added up, and that's what leads to success or failure. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So a lot of these people you see that are successful, like they just do all the little things that you don't do. They don't watch as much TV. They don't play as many video games. They don't drink as much. They don't smoke as much. It's a lot of little things that they do every day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's building those good habits. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, it's okay to indulge and have fun once in a while. Because I mean,
Mental health.
I'm in the military, dude, and I'm sure it applies to everywhere. Like, it is well known that people in the military like to have their fun too, and it's just what happens. But there's that discipline, that direction, purpose, and motivation. That's
Moderation.
provided. Yeah.
Like not every weekend, not every day, especially not every day. Like
No.
a lot of people in COVID drinking. I go to the store, I see people buying bottles every single day, no matter the time.
Yeah.
No matter the time. I went there on a Tuesday, I think between like 11 and 10 a.m. and there was somebody buying like a bottle. For what? You know what I'm saying? Like, I understand you don't have work, but like, you spending $30 on a bottle of a book is fucking $20. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, it's your decisions, and your decision is like, that decision to get drunk is gonna lead to decisions to forget about other shit. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna lead to your mood being worse, not exercising. Now you bigger than what you want to be. Now you sad about that. It's just like, it's a ripple effect. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. $30 on a bottle. I mean,
$30 on a bottle, Ciroc bottle, Henny bottle, $35.
that's a lot of food.
That's a lot of food. Like that's a lot of like
That's gas money.
gas. That's gas to take you to fucking LA and back. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? You could sightsee, but you want to get drunk, and then it's like the people you drinking with, they're not happy, and you kind of. It's a lot of sad shit. You know what I'm saying? That if you don't pay attention, if you're unaware, that's why people are unaware. A lot of people are unaware, so they think it's cool, it's okay. But like at a certain point, you got to realize, damn, is my life where I want it to be, or where I wanted it to be when I was in high school?
Yeah.
When I was in high school and I had a clear mind or clearer mind, I was thinking, I want to do these things, and now it's like I'm not doing any of these things, and that shit hurts, and that's what turns people to alcohol and drugs.
Mm-hmm.
So, what are your long-term goals, career-wise? You know what I'm saying? After you get done with this part of your schooling, like what do you want to do with your career? And
So right now I'm in Army ROTC while I'm enlisted. So pretty much what that means is that I am pursuing a commission into the United States Army as an officer, and I'm pursuing my graduate degree. So upon completion, since I already have my bachelor's degree, the way it works a little bit different. But since I already have my bachelor's degree, I can technically commission without completing my master's. But so I'll commission and then I'll get my master's degree.
but they pay for it though, right?
Yeah, they do.
So it's like
Yeah, they play a lot of financial stuff. They help a lot with it. Army does a good job in that. But my long-term goal, honestly, depending on what branch, and what I mean by branch, I mean the job that you'll have as an officer in the Army. Depending on what that is, regardless, my goal is to do. I'm looking right now. I mean, as you know, things change, right? So. But as of right now, the plan is to go 20 plus years, collect, retirement from there, learn as much as I can in the time being. But my long term, and then somewhere along that way, if I can get in the shape that I need to be in, if I can, have the opportunity to go to, like a Ranger regiment or Special Forces, that'd be something I'd like to do. But yeah, my goal is to serve 20, 25 years if medically I'm still allowed to, God willing, basically. That's my goal so far. Get my graduate degree. Use the Army. Maybe the Army can provide me the means to pursue a doctorate degree at some point in my career in the military. We'll see. But all this is for the active duty component of the Army. So we'll see. Hopefully.
So when you're done accomplishing your goals, like what do you want your friends, like your kids, you know what I'm saying, like your family to say, like, if you had a funeral, like how would you want them to remember you? Like what would you want them to remember you as? Like,
damn, that's a heavy question. What I want them to remember me as. I mean, honestly,
the type of person you were, you know what I'm saying? Not necessarily what you did for them, but just
Right.
your character.
I mean, at the end of the day, I can only hope that at my funeral, I'm surrounded by people that I affected positively. You know, that in some sort of way inspire them to do better. Obviously, I hope I'm surrounded by family that loves me. You know what I mean? So that's pretty much it, man. I think. I mean, I never really put too much thought about what I want people to think of me. It's more so if I
Or the impact you left.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, you go to certain organizations and there's certain things that you want to do for them, and to progress your career and to have a good resume. But if I'm on my deathbed and I know that my kids are taken care of, my wife's taken care of, my family's taken care of essentially, my friends and family are all good, I think I can go pretty peacefully. I mean, whether I reach my goals or not, is some way or another. I mean, if my family's taken care of, I'm all good. So I don't know. As simple as it gets for me, to be honest. I mean, would it be nice to like be a millionaire or billionaire? Yeah, sure, but I mean, I don't really put too much importance in that. You know what I mean? So
As long as your loved ones taken care of.
yeah.
So, hope y'all gain something from this, you know what I'm saying? That the easy road is pretty much never gonna be the path to success ever. Like, literally, ever. Like, nothing that you've ever seen in any country's uprising, anybody you know that's successful in any form, it's never been easy, you know what I'm saying? So, hopefully you took that from this interview. Just know that you can accomplish your goals, you have to change your mindset. If your mindset is every time it gets difficult, you start thinking of ways to cower, or you start thinking of ways to make excuses, to complain, then that might not be advantageous in having success in the future, you know what I'm saying? So, and if you want to join the army, you know what I'm saying, I'm going to drop his IG in the link of the video. If you have questions about that while you're in school, how to manage that, where to go, you know what I'm saying, I'm going to drop his IG link. You guys want to tap in with that. And, you know what I'm saying, just keep striving for success. We out.